They called him Stephen when he was a kid. That name belonged to a boy who still believed adults knew what they were doing. A boy who laughed easily, who hadn't yet learned how quickly the world could flip on you. Back then, life still felt like something that might unfold in a straight line. It didn't. At 16, everything fractured. Rooms became smaller. Voices became louder. Not just outside, but inside. Confusion wrapped itself around his thoughts until nothing made sense anymore. The people meant to help him didn't ask who he was. They told him what he was. Schizophrenic. A word that landed like a sentence. He didn't fully understand it, but he understood what followed. Locked doors, cold corridors, people watching him like he was something to manage, not someone to know. Sectioned, contained, defined. Stephen started disappearing. At 17, things got worse. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong system. He was arrested, wrongfully. Thrown into a world that didn't care about truth, only control. A prison cell replaced hospital walls, but the feeling was the same. Trapped, voiceless, stripped of identity. In HMYOP, survival wasn't about strength, it was about endurance. Every day was a test. Every interaction could go wrong. You learned quickly not to trust, not to show weakness, not to expect fairness. He fought, not with fists, but with something deeper, a refusal to disappear completely. But the system didn't fix him. It didn't heal him. It released him. And the streets were waiting. Chaos doesn't announce itself. It swallows you. When Stephen stepped back into the world, it wasn't freedom. It was noise. Pressure, hunger, addiction creeping in like a slow poison. The streets didn't care about his past. They demanded something from him now. So he adapted. Hustling became survival. Dealing became income. Nights blurred into mornings, and mornings into nothing at all. It was a cycle. Fast money, fast living, faster consequences. He told himself it was temporary. It never feels temporary when you're in it. This is when Stephen became Steve. Steve was harder, sharper, less emotional. He knew how to move, who to trust, when to disappear. He learned the language of survival, the quiet nods, the quick exchanges, the unspoken rules. But inside, something still wasn't right. Addiction doesn't just take, it replaces. It replaces purpose, replaces direction, replaces you. And eventually, even Steve couldn't ignore it. Something had to change. The shift didn't happen overnight. It started small. A moment of clarity. A question that wouldn't go away. Is this it? Steve began stepping back. Not all at once, but enough to notice the difference. Enough to feel the weight of what he'd become. Enough to want something else. This is when Stevie emerged. Stevie was still rough around the edges, but he started making different choices. He reached toward help instead of running from it. He started engaging, not with systems that labeled him, but with people who listened. He found himself sitting in rooms he never thought he'd enter willingly. Mental health groups, recovery discussions, community meetings. And for the first time, his voice mattered. He wasn't just being talked about, he was being heard. That changed everything. Stevie became a service user chairman for the Oxford City mental health team. The same kind of system that once defined him now asked for his input. His experience wasn't a weakness anymore, it was insight. He started helping shape conversations, supporting others, speaking from a place only someone who'd lived it could understand. And life kept evolving. He started dating professional women, people with structure, ambition, stability, worlds away from the chaos he'd known. At first it felt unfamiliar, but slowly he realized something. He belonged there too. Not as the person he used to be, but as the person he was becoming. Then came one of the hardest battles of all, abstinence. Letting go of substances meant facing everything head-on. No escape, no numbing, no shortcuts. It was raw, uncomfortable, necessary. And he did it, step by step, choice by choice. Stevie became Slim. Slim was focused. He enrolled in college, diving into psychology, philosophy, and criminal psychology, not just as subjects, but as tools to understand himself, his past, and the systems he'd survived. Every lecture added context. Every assignment added clarity. He wasn't just learning, he was rebuilding. Slim didn't stop there. He became a mental health mentor, a substance misuse worker, someone others could look to and say, he gets it, because he did. He trained as a youth worker too, determined to reach people earlier, before they fell into the same traps he had. But growth came with pressure. To fund his ambitions, Slim worked 7 days a week in a factory, long shifts, repetitive work, exhaustion that settled deep into his bones. But he had a vision. Every paycheck wasn't just survival, it was investment. Piece by piece, he built something of his own, a recording studio. Music had always been there in the background. Now it became the forefront. Slim evolved again. He became Fatty Smalls. As a lyricist, this was where everything came together. The pain, the chaos, the survival, the growth. Every verse told a story, not manufactured, not exaggerated, real, raw. His words carried weight because they came from experience, from nights on the street, from locked rooms, from recovery meetings, from factory floors. People didn't just hear the music, they felt it. But he wasn't done. There was another layer, another identity, another evolution. Top Cat, also known as A.K. Slim, the producer. Now, he wasn't just telling stories, he was creating the sound behind them, building beats, shaping energy, turning emotion into something tangible. Control. For the first time in his life, he had full creative control. And it didn't stop at music. He launched his own clothing brand, another extension of identity, another way to express the journey, the transformation, the message, from Stephen to Steve, from Steve to Stevie, from Stevie to Slim, from Slim to Fatty Smalls, from Fatty Smalls to Top Cat. Each name wasn't a mask, it was a chapter, a survival stage, a reinvention. And now, when people look at him, they don't see the labels that once defined him. They see the outcome of resilience. But the truth is, it never really ends. The past doesn't disappear. It becomes part of the foundation. Every decision still matters. Every day still requires discipline. But now, it's different, because he's not running anymore. He's building. The story of Steven Slater isn't about what happened to him. It's about what he chose to become after. And that's the part no system could ever control. Fade out.